Zion National Park is one of the most beautiful, iconic national parks in the United States, and it's home to the famous Angel's Landing hike. A lot of people on the internet like to make this hike look super dangerous and scary, paint this terrible picture of the hike. But honestly, I'm here to shatter all of your fears and give you all the juice on this hike and Angel's Landing, Zion National Park, how to get there, what to expect, how to prepare for this amazing experience that you'll have if you're planning a trip to Zion National Park. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. The first question is, do you need a permit? The short answer is yes, you do need a permit. The longer answer is you don't need a permit to hike the Angel's Landing Trail. Let me take a step back. Angel's Landing is a long trail and it's right off of the Grotto stop. So Angel's Landing itself is a hike. There's a lot of switchbacks and you get to the top and you can look out on this beautiful rock. It's kind of on a slant and it's called Scouts Lookout. That's where everyone is taking these pictures and videos of Zion National Park. It's like the iconic picture, and I'll throw it up here, of Zion National Park. To get to Scouts Lookout, you don't need a permit, and anyone could hike this and anyone can go out to this lookout point. So the point where you do need a permit is to hike the Angel's Landing steep sandstone rock. Now that rock has chains on it and there are guards out front that will ask to see your confirmation email that shows that you have a permit to hike that part of the trail. For me, I actually won the lottery. I got the permit, but my flight ended up getting canceled. So I had to switch my flight, and then because of it, I wasn't able to get to the park in time for the hike that I signed up for. I didn't make it in time. So I applied again for the next day and I ended up not winning the lottery. I did try to get through the guard. I showed them my email from the day before, but they're very good at checking. So if you're trying to just sneak right through, you're gonna have to be super undercover. But I literally had an email from them that said I could go. It was just the wrong date. So they're very good at checking your permit. Just long story short, how do you apply for the permit lottery? I will leave a link below, but basically you go to mps.gov/Zion, and there are two lotteries that you can apply for. So the first one is the seasonal lottery, and the second one is the day before lottery. For the seasonal lottery, there are 7 days that you get to hand pick and 7 time frames that you can pick to do your hike. So this is for someone that is planning a trip well in advance. It could be a couple months from now, it could be a year from now or so. For me, I planned this trip literally a month before, and I was like, oh, okay. So there was no point in doing the seasonal lottery. I did the day before lottery, which basically means between 12:01 and 3 p.m. the day before your hike, you apply for the lottery, and then at 4 p.m. the day before your hike, you'll know if you actually won the lottery or not. And I'll throw an example up. And if I didn't get the permit, I would just walk up to Scouts Lookout, which is totally fine, which is what I did. Or if you do win the lottery and you get the permit, then you could walk up to Scouts permit, and then you could do the Angel's Landing chains part of the trail as well, which in my opinion, it's not super worth it because the views are just as good on Scouts Lookout. How many miles is the hike and what is the altitude? The hike itself is about 5 miles round trip, so it's about 2.5 miles there and 2.5 miles back. The altitude is about 5,800 feet, and that's rounded. It's definitely a steep hike, but that's what makes the views absolutely breathtaking at the end. What time of day should you start the Angel's Landing hike? If you have a headset with a light on it, I would definitely go catch the sunrise. It's absolutely insane. I don't have one of the headsets and I was not prepared. So next time I would get one for sure. If you're going on a trip soon and you don't have a headset, I would recommend going during the daytime and catching the earliest shuttle that you can. So what I did was grab breakfast, got a scone from a local cafe, and then jump on the shuttle, get to the Grotto stop as early as you can. I think I got there around 11. It takes about 3 hours altogether. And that was with me stopping to take pictures, stopping to soak in the views and just appreciate nature. You want it to be light outside, number one, because coming back, it does get steep at times and you want to see where you're stepping. And number two, if you miss the last shuttle bus back to the visitor center, then it's about an 8-mile walk back to the visitor center. How long does it take to hike up to Angel's Landing? So it took about an hour and a half for me to get to Scouts Lookout, and again, that was with me taking pictures. To hike back, it's around the same amount. You do go a little bit faster going back just because it's like going downhill instead of up. It also just depends like how strong you are and how good you are with cardio. There were some people running it, so like it's possible to just like totally whip through the trail, but I wanted to soak up the view, so that was just how I did it. Is Angel's Landing a difficult hike? This hike is definitely not for beginners because it is so steep and there are a ton of switchbacks, but the views at the end are absolutely breathtaking. So if you want to challenge yourself and you're open to just stopping a lot and taking breaks, eating a snack, breathing water, and then, keep pushing forward, then I think that anyone could really do this hike. If you're an advanced hiker, then this is going to be one that you definitely need to check out. How do you get to Angel's Landing? In the summer, there is a bus system that you have to take to get to Angel's Landing. So there's the Springdale bus, and then there's the Zion Canyon line. The Zion line will take you to all of the hikes that you can do, and then the Springdale line will take you to all like the hotels and restaurants and whatnot that are in Springdale, which is the little town that's right outside of Zion. When you're doing Angel's Landing, you want to get off at stop 6, which is Grotto. What you do is you'll get off the bus and you actually want to walk across the street and then walk across the bridge that's over the river, and then that's where the hike actually begins. I remember when I got off the bus, I was like, where am I? Like, where do I go? I was so confused. But just follow people and you'll probably find your way, but it's pretty simple to figure out. The shuttle bus is free. You're not paying for it at all. You can also rent bikes and just bike ride the entire trip, which is pretty cool. Is Angel's Landing the hardest hike in the United States? I would say no. It's really not. Yes, it's very steep at times and like you're doing a lot of switchbacks. It's a long hike, so I think that's what makes it like, challenging. It's definitely not the hardest hike in the United States. I have done steeper hikes that have literally taken my breath away. Like when I was in Malibu, I did this hike called Sandstone Peak and I almost got lost as well because I did it at sunset. If you want to see that full experience, I have a link down below, but that was an amazing hike. I think there's a lot of hikes that are just not as popular and people don't talk about them, but are amazing and much more challenging than this hike itself. I'm not trying to put down this hike. I would say definitely still do it. It's just that in my opinion, it's not that hard. Is Angel's Landing scary? Not really. In my opinion, I think, yes, there were points where if you took one wrong step, you could fall off the edge. But if you're doing like the Grand Canyon hike, that's the same situation. I've done the Kalalea Trail hike in Hawaii, and that's supposed to be like the most dangerous hike in the United States. The National Park Service on their website quotes, "This hike is strenuous and your safety is your responsibility." So they have to say that in order to be covered themselves. So if someone dies, which a lot of people have died from this hike, you have to literally be stupid to fall off anywhere along this hike. Just be mindful, wear good boots. I think you'll be totally fine. I think the internet makes it a lot scarier than it really is. That is it for this guide. I really hope that this inspires you to check out Zion National Park. I hope this video makes you feel more confident about taking on the hike because it's not as scary as it sounds and the views are absolutely breathtaking at the end. I will say it's a great idea to pack a lot of snacks or a little lunch that you can just pull out when you hit Scouts Lookout because it's so peaceful up there and the views are incredible. I always think that snacks just taste better after you've done like a super long hike and you're sitting in the sun and just like enjoying just being there. If you want to see more videos on other hikes to do while you're at Zion National Park or where to stay, where to eat and all that, let me know. Or if you have other questions about the hike itself or just Zion in general, leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer them. Bye guys.